Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here. Let's talk some mountain weather. And it did snow, and it's still snowing in the Wasatch. The view at Alta, you can see the snow coming down. Ended up with somewhere between 6, 7, and 8 inches, which is a bit more than what I was forecasting. I was thinking maybe 4 or 5 inches, but that's good to see. Now this cold front producing that snow will now move into Colorado. So let me take you to my bullet points. So Colorado snow, light to moderate accumulations. There's a pretty good little chunk of a swath of area that will get moderate accumulations in Colorado. I'll show you that coming up, 11.8 to 11.9. And then still thinking down the road, on or after 11.13 through at least 11.17, probably 11.18, 19.20. It's a pretty large trough, dip in the jet, low atmospheric pressures that will rotate in. We may even have a bit of an atmospheric river component to this. Not saying that's a lock. It's definitely not a lock at this point, but it's possible. Could contribute. And the subtropical jet looks like it's going to come alive and start to blend with the pattern, start to become a factor, which is what I expect to be an issue most of the winter with this El Nino in play. So let me take you back and show you how this is going to look. Right now, though, this is the infrared. Now, this is the water vapor satellite. So oranges and reds are going to be your drier air aloft. Let me just show you this large cluster. You can see that big area of low pressure there. There's also another one sliding through the upper Midwest. That's what's dragging that front through the Wasatch, headed into Colorado. But there's this large dip in the pattern with a number of lower pressures playing, and you can almost see it happening right here. But it's this area of low pressure and everything rotating around it that will become the player down the road with the big pattern shift. It'll move into the Pacific Northwest BC, and then it's going to drop down the coast and affect California in a big way. And then eventually, like a bowling ball, it's going to roll into the Intermountain West with all of its goodness. Let me just show you what the radar forecast radar satellite shows. So that's the current scenario. There's your blue, your snow in the Wasatch, and also up in the Tetons. Now it's Colorado's turn. There's tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, snowing. The moderate accumulation pocket is going to be up on the Continental Divide in Colorado and probably spilling down into Summit County and then on the east side of the divide as well. So we're going to see the best orographics. There's a bit of a convergence zone as well, and I'll show you where I think there could be some double-digit accumulations in that convergence zone. So that's 11.8 at 4 p.m. 11.9 in the morning, still snowing in Colorado, rain-snow mix light for Denver. And there is the afternoon starts to wind down as it slides down through southern Colorado. Now, looking at a little bit of moisture in the upper northern tier, here comes the big storm into BC and the Pacific Northwest. 11:12, it's slow moving, and there it is by the end of the day. Now, it's going to take its time. It's going to slide down, like I said, the west coast, and then move in after that. Let's talk some jet stream. It's 11:14, amplified, big trough. That's the low that's going to be digging south. You're looking at potentially strong orographics slamming into the Sierra from Tahoe all the way down to Mammoth. And there's going to be a lot of precip up in BC and the Pacific Northwest as well. So here is 11:16. Still looking at that trough, area of low pressure being supported by a lot of jet dynamics. And if you didn't notice on the previous 11:14, look at the subtropical jet blending or meshing and feeding into this. So that'll provide extra moisture and lift. And it's still there. I mean, you can see that jet streak around the Baja. That's intense in southern California. So we're looking at good dynamics in California, and then this would start to overrun the moisture into the interior over time. 11, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, looking at snow for Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado. All right, totals. Through the 10th, looks like this. So it's really just Colorado at this point. And you can see that corridor of heavier snow, even double digits, up around Longs, Eldora, diving down to Berthoud Pass, Winter Park. And then probably 6, 7 down in Summit County, Vail, Loveland, A Basin. And potentially down through the wet mountains around Cuchara and the Sandgrays, but on the east side of the Sandgrays. Further down the road, this is the big time period, through the 16th, 11/11 through 11/16, you can see the bullseye in California. Now, this assumes everything we just talked about. Jet dynamics, orographics, interplay with the atmospheric river and subtropical jet. That's how you crank out big numbers like that in the Sierra. And we're just starting to capture the initial stages of it moving into Utah, moving into Idaho, moving into Wyoming, and not even really into Colorado. So again, that's going to be later in the period, but eventually that will roll through. Look at the numbers up in BC and the Pacific Northwest, looking at double digit, couple of feet up there through Whistler and Baker and Rainier, and about a foot through Sunshine Village, Revelstoke, and a couple of other places, so in the magenta color. Well, that's going to do it for this update. Pretty exciting to see this unfold. We'll see. It's still a long way out. Obviously, nothing's locked, and nothing's a lock or in stone yet, but it's interesting to see this all play out. So take care, guys. Always appreciate you tuning in.